A very good morning to all of you. And on behalf of Nano Junior College and IIT Academy, I welcome you all to this webinar today. My name is Srinivas. I am one of the directors of Nano Junior College and IIT Academy. Why have we organized this seminar today? Let me just give a brief background. For most middle class parents, the biggest gift that we can give to our children is the gift of education. Therefore, when our children come to the 10th class and they are on the verge of completing the 10th class, we are all anxious as to whether we are doing the right thing for our children. Are we putting them in the right course? Are we putting them in the right track? Are their career aspirations are they in the right direction? Are we putting them in the right college and institution? So these are some of the questions which will plague the mind of any parent at this stage. And I know that because I am a parent myself, and I went through this experience twice, first for my son and then for my daughter. And in both cases, I would say that I was relatively successful. My son has graduated from IIT Madras. My daughter has graduated from NIT Warangal. So I know the feelings that parents go through at this stage. So whatever I share with you today will be from the parent's perspective, the anxieties, I will be providing answers to the questions that most of you will be having. So what is it that I'm going to do in the next 30-35 minutes? What I'm going to do is, if your chosen option is engineering, I'm going to look at what are the top engineering colleges in the country, what are the number of seats there, what is the competition, what is the selection process, what is it that you should be doing in the next 2 years to get into the top-notch engineering colleges. So that is primarily my focus. After that, I'll spend a few minutes in terms of explaining our approach to this 2 years IIT plus intermediate coaching. And then I will take questions from you. So without further ado, let me start off with what we have in store for you today. When it comes to top-notch engineering colleges, we have to talk about the IITs, the Indian Institutes of Technology. Totally, there are 23 IITs in the country today. And out of this, I would roughly say there are 3 generations of IITs. The first generation started between 1951 and 1961, the oldest being at Kharagpur. We have Kharagpur, Bombay, Madras, Kanpur, and Delhi. The one at Mumbai is called IIT Bombay. The name of the city has changed, but the name of the IIT has not changed. Similarly, IIT Madras is at Chennai, Kanpur, and Delhi. These are the first generation IITs. After a long gap, IIT Guwahati got started in 1994. Then IIT Roorkee got started in 2001. Actually, College of Engineering Roorkee got the status of IIT in 2001. So this, I would say, roughly are the older IITs. Then we have the second and third generation IITs. Which are they? Started in 2008, Bhubaneswar, Gandhinagar, and Hyderabad, our very own Hyderabad, Indore, Ropar, and all of these things were started in, all of these IITs were started in 2008. 2014 onwards, the third generation of IITs, Palakkad, Tirupati, Bhilai, Goa, Jammu, Dharwad, all of them got started. During this time, 2 other reputed institutions also got the status of IIT. One is the Banaras Hindu University at Varanasi, is now IIT Varanasi. Similarly, Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, is now IIT Dhanbad. So all in all, put together, we have 23 IITs, including the one in Hyderabad, in Telangana, and the one at Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, next. After the IITs, the next major national institutes we should talk about is National Institutes of Technology. We have in all 31 NITs. And the NITs were set up primarily 1959 to 67, 15 of them, 86, 87, 2, 2006, 3, 2010, 11. The oldest NIT was set up at Warangal. At that time, they were called regional engineering colleges. The Warangal NIT in Telangana is the oldest NIT, and the youngest is in Andhra Pradesh at Tadepalligudem. So between these two, totally we have another 29 setups. So totally we've got 31 NITs. Okay. Apart from IITs and NITs, central government also runs a few other institutions. Primary among them is IITs. IITs have gained prominence in the last few years. So the central government, so you need to keep in mind, we're talking about central government. The state government also runs IITs. For example, at Basar in Telangana and Nuzuweed in Andhra. But these IITs are after 10th class, so don't confuse those IITs with the IITs that the central government is running. The central government run IITs are at Allahabad, Gwalior, Jabalpur, Kanchipuram and Kurnool also. Okay, then while we are talking about centrally run IITs, we need to also talk about the recent additions to IITs set up in what is called PPP mode, that is public-private partnership mode, about 20 of them, including the one at Sri City in Hyderabad, in Chittor, in Andhra Pradesh. So that is also one of the IITs set up as part of the 20 PPP mode IITs that were started. So while we're talking about IITs, we also need to talk about certain important IITs which are in the private sector. The prominent one among them, it is not visible, the slide is not clear here, Hyderabad, Bangalore and Delhi. All three of them have gained prominence in the recent past, and Hyderabad IIT is a preferred IIT. A lot of students, if they don't get computer science branch in, say, the older IITs, prefer IIT Hyderabad. So IIT Hyderabad has gained that kind of prominence. In fact, IIT Hyderabad is not Indian Institute of Information Technology. It is actually International Institute of Information Technology. It is private, but the entrance test for all of these things is the same, and I will discuss that with you in a short while from now. So that is about IITs. Next, there are other centrally funded technical institutions. The other centrally funded technical institutions include Indian Institute of Science and Technology, Thiruvananthapuram. All those interested in space technology. A lot of students ask me, sir, I want to get into NASA, I want to get into ISRO. What should I be doing? If you are interested in aerospace, the most premier engineering institute that you should be looking at is Indian Institute of Space Technology, Thiruvananthapuram, run by ISRO itself. Okay, then there is National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management in Gurgaon. So NIFTEM, anybody is interested in food technology, it's a premier institute for food technology. Food technology is again a very growing discipline. Then you have Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology at Shibpur in West Bengal. Then Punjab Engineering College in Chandigarh and Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Petroleum and Technology in UP. So all of these things, all of these institutions are run by the central government. So we call them centrally funded technical institutions. Then from the government-run institutions, we need to move to look at the premier private institutions. And prominent among them is BITS Pilani. So BITS Pilani has got 3 campuses, Pilani, Goa and Hyderabad. So 3 campuses. BITS has got Birla Institute of Technology and Science, and the foremost one, the one that got started first was Pilani, and then Goa, and then Hyderabad. So if you see, Hyderabad is home to IIT Hyderabad, IIT Hyderabad, BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus, and at a very short distance from Hyderabad, you have the NIT Warangal. So in and around Hyderabad, you've got 4 premier national institutes. Okay, so that's about BITS. Now, other than BITS, you've got a whole lot of other private deemed universities, which include VIT Vellore, that is Vellore Institute of Technology, Manipal Institute of Technology, SRM, Amrita, Dhirubhai Ambani Institute of Information and Communication Technology. Mahindras have set up a beautiful engineering college in Hyderabad, MEC. Then NU, that is NIT University, Bennett University set up by Times of India Group, Munjal University set up by the Hero Group, etc., etc. There are a whole lot of these private universities also. And that is the advantage. If you take the engineering option, the choice is wide, right from IITs at the top to your state level engineering colleges. There are a wide variety of engineering colleges. So based on your preparation and based on how dedicated you are in terms of approaching the 2-year program, you could easily get into one of these. And once you get into one of these, your career is settled. In fact, I've not even talked about the state level engineering colleges. In the state level also, there are university run colleges, and there are at least 10 to 15 good private engineering colleges in both Telangana as well as Andhra Pradesh. I'm not talking about them. That is for a different seminar. But today our focus is on primarily national institutions. Okay. Now, having done that, let us look at the competition at each of these institutions. If you look at IITs, the total number of seats is around 12,000, plus or minus. In fact, plus I would say a few hundreds. The number of aspirants is 2.5 lakhs, and I'll explain to you why it is 2.5 lakhs. In fact, it's more than 2.5 lakhs. I'll tell you why it's 2.5 lakhs, why it is written 2.5 lakhs. NITs, National Institutes of Technology, about 18,000 seats and around 12 lakhs aspirants. So basically, for all engineering colleges in the country, the aspirant pool is around 12 lakhs. So 12 lakhs appear for the entrance test for NITs, which is also the qualifying entrance test for IITs. So in a way, the number of students who aspire to get into IITs is actually 12 lakhs. I'll explain the selection process in a little while from now. If you take BITS Pilani, the number of seats in all the 3 campuses put together, Pilani, Goa and Hyderabad, all of them put together, the number of seats is around 2.5 lakhs. All right, so that is that should give you some kind of idea in terms of the competition. The other factor that you need to keep in mind is that in IITs and NITs, there is reservation for SC, ST, OBC. Also now EWS, that is economically weaker sections. There is a 10% quota for them. So totally all of these reservations put together, you have around 60%. So 60% would go for these reservations and 40% is for the open category. Also, one good news for girl students is that there is a separate quota for girls. So IITs and NITs, the quota is 20%. So what the IITs and NITs will do is, if through merit girls get into the institute and they constitute 20%, there is no problem. If they do not constitute 20%, they will create extra seats called supernumerary seats and see that the girls there become 20%. So the 20% reservation for girls is achieved by not tinkering with the reservation for the others, but by creating supernumerary seats. And the last few years, we have seen a lot of girls, last 3-4 years, we've seen a lot of girls making use of this advantage and getting into the IITs and NITs in large numbers. So that is about the reservations at the IITs and the NITs. Okay, we'll come back to this in a short while. Now, how do you get there? How do you get there? The competition for the IITs and NITs, as I told you, is a lot. There is a question now, actually, is there a reservation for foreign citizens? There is no reservation for foreign citizens. But sir, please reserve your questions till the end. We will try to answer these questions towards the end. there is a question, there is an observation that I'm lagging a bit. There is a problem with Zoom. That's the problem with Zoom. A little lag may be there, but as long as I'm audible, I think it should be clear. Okay, please reserve your questions till the end. I will answer those questions. Okay, now, if you look at the entrance test, the engineering entrance test season starts with an entrance test known as JEE Main. Earlier, JEE Main was called the AIEEE. In 2013, the JEE Main got created. It replaced AIEEE. JEE Main serves two purposes. Purpose number one, it is the qualifying entrance test for JEE Advanced. So 12 lakh, as I told you, 12 lakh people take JEE Main every year. And the top 2.5 lakhs are eligible for taking the next test, which is the JEE Advanced. Now, JEE Advanced, as is given here, JEE Advanced is the qualifying entrance test for IITs. But to take JEE Advanced, you need to qualify in the JEE Main. The second purpose of JEE Main is based on the entrance test performance in JEE Main, you will get admission in NITs and IIITs. So NITs and IIITs, the admission is through JEE Main, including the private IIITs. Private IIITs, that is IIIT Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Delhi, also use JEE Main scores. Now, BITS Pilani has its own entrance test called BITSAT. Every other deemed university also has its own entrance test. For example, VIT has its own entrance test, SRM has its own entrance test, etc., etc. So all of these, Amrita has its own entrance test. All of these private universities have their own entrance test. So in fact, every year after JEE Main, students get busy writing all these entrance tests every other day. So in fact, earlier, that is the pre-corona days, the entire month of April and part of May, students used to be busy writing all of these entrance tests. Okay, now JEE Main and JEE Advanced, though both of them are based almost on the same syllabus, which is the NCERT syllabus, there are a lot of differences between these two tests. JEE Advanced is a two-paper test. That is, there is a paper in the morning, there is a paper in the afternoon. That is number one. Number two is JEE Advanced, the pattern is not known, though the nature of questions is slightly known based on experience. It is not necessary that the paper setters will stick to those question types only. So for example, in JEE Advanced, you have multiple choice, single answer right, multiple choice, more than one answer right. You have matching types, you have numerical type, comprehension type. A whole lot of these question patterns will be there in JEE Advanced. Also, the marking scheme in JEE Advanced is also unknown. So it may be +4, -2, +3, -1, +4, -1. So the marking scheme also will change year to year. The number of questions also will change year to year. So that uncertainty element is there in JEE Advanced. In the case of JEE Main, on the other hand, everything is known. For example, there are 75 questions, 25 questions in maths, 25 questions in physics, 25 questions in chemistry. 20 of these questions are multiple choice, single answer right in each of them. So the pattern is known and the marking scheme +4, -1. And JEE Main, the other difference as far as JEE Main is concerned is that till last year, you could take JEE Main twice, once in January, the other in April. This year, the government has given the flexibility for the students to appear 4 times. We do not know whether this will continue, but most probably it will continue. This year, the JEE Main is being conducted in February, March, April, and May. 4 times, you can take one or all of them. The best of the 4 will be considered as far as your ranks are concerned. Okay, so that is another difference. And JEE Main is a single paper test, 3-hour test. So that is as far as JEE Main is concerned. And each of the other entrance tests has its own patterns. Okay. Now, if you see, we need to look at changes in IIT JEE over the years because we learn a lot of lessons on the basis of how the IIT JEE has evolved over the years. Up to 2006, JEE was subjective. That means you were given questions, you had to solve and arrive at the answer. So that was till 2006. After 2006, it has moved from subjective pattern to objective pattern. The moment it has become objective in nature, the rules of the game have changed slightly. In fact, I would say radically, not just slightly. When it was subjective, if you are conceptually very strong, it was sufficient. The moment it became objective, along with concepts, along with command over concepts, you also needed to have practice because the speed element got added. And therefore, the nature of coaching, the nature of preparation has also changed. When it was subjective, about 3 to 4 hours of coaching in the morning or in the evening after college used to be sufficient. So all those institutes were providing that 3 to 4 hours of coaching either before school or after school. The moment it has become objective, it has become imperative for students to spend a lot more time for preparation, and therefore we have come up with this integrated coaching, which has become the mainstay as far as IIT preparation is concerned in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, where students prepare from morning to evening. They would be spending their time for IIT preparation only, and all of them in the institution where coaching takes place, where the theoretical lectures take place, also practice in terms of study hours take place. So the time that the student spends in the institution has increased from 4 hours to 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours, etc., etc. Okay, so that is the nature of the change in the IIT, necessitating a change in the preparation strategy. Then from 2013 onwards, you have all of those things which I've described today. That is a two-step process, JEE Main, JEE Advanced, etc., etc. All of them started in 2013 onwards. Okay. Now, while we are here, we need to keep one thing in mind. And a lot of parents ask me this question, which is, sir, what is the weightage for board exams? There's absolutely no weightage for board exams in JEE Main and JEE Advanced. So absolutely no weightage. You just have to get 75% in your board exams. If you get 75%, you're qualified, but there is no separate weightage that is given to the board exams. In fact, that 75% is not there this year. It was not there last year because of the corona situation. So last year and this year, if you just passed the board exams, it is sufficient. Okay. Right. Now, before we get on with this, because a lot of students I find are from CBSE, and students ask me this question: if I'm a CBSE student, what should I be doing? Should I continue with CBSE or should I move to a state board? So to answer that question, let me do a comparison first. And after I do the comparison, I will tell you what is best for you. Now, if you look at the CBSE and state board, let us look at the syllabus. Syllabus CBSE is extensive, as you all know, is extensive, maths, physics, and chemistry. If you look at state, it is CBSE plus. Why is that so? Because as far as state intermediate board is concerned, physics and chemistry textbooks are the same as the NCERT books. So Telangana and Andhra Pradesh state governments actually pay royalty to NCERT. They use the same textbooks, physics and chemistry. This started in 2013 when JEE Main got introduced, NEET got introduced. So one good thing that the state governments have done is to revamp the physics and chemistry syllabus. So physics and chemistry syllabus, NCERT, that is CBSE, and state board, there's absolutely no difference. They're the same. In maths, the state boards have an edge because maths state board syllabus is a little higher, little tougher than the CBSE. So overall, if you look at syllabus, state board has got a slight edge. Okay. Then if you look at optionals, you have only maths, physics, chemistry in the case of intermediate. In the case of CBSE, you've got one extra, that is you can take also biology. But I would say that is not the right thing to do because preparing for one entrance test itself is a huge effort. Now, if you combine that with biology, student will be confused, will not be able to do either well in NEET or in JEE. So better, though this option is available, I would say it's only a theoretical option. Okay. Now, in terms of exam standard, earlier, sometime a few years back, CBSE used to be slightly tougher, but now CBSE is as easy as state boards. There's a marks inflation, there's a grades inflation. So everybody gets tremendous amount of marks in CBSE also. So also the state. Valuation in both cases is easy, but the most important difference, that is what you have to keep in mind, is that integrated IIT coaching is not available in CBSE schools, whereas in our intermediate, it is possible. That means intermediate coaching plus intermediate preparation plus IIT coaching under the same roof. Like for example, if you take Nano, we have Nano Junior College, IIT Academy under the same roof. So we decide how much time the student prepares for IIT, how much time the student prepares for intermediate. So students roughly spend about 10 to 12 hours for IIT every day at institutes like ours. But if you take CBSE, there is this lack of IIT coaching, integrated IIT coaching. So if you are in a CBSE school, you have to take IIT coaching separately, either 2 to 3 hours in the morning or 2 to 3 hours in the evening. And that I would say is not the right thing to do. The 2 to 3 hours of coaching every day versus 10 to 12 hours of coaching in our kind of institution, there is absolutely no comparison. So if you are serious about getting into a good engineering college, CBSE is not the right option. You have to move to the state board. In fact, other states also looking at the success, and if you ask me, one of the reasons why Telangana and Andhra Pradesh students do so well at the IITs, at the IIT entrance test, is because of the availability of integrated coaching in both the states. Looking at the success of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, now other states also have started slowly. In Tamil Nadu, we are seeing this. In Karnataka, we are seeing this. In West Bengal, we are seeing this, where there is this integrated coaching available in some places in these states. So all in all, my suggestion, my advice, if you are a CBSE student, if you are planning to prepare for top-notch engineering colleges, you should move. And if you are in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, you should move to integrated coaching with the state board. That is the reason why we get students from Tamil Nadu, we get students from Maharashtra, we get students from Karnataka, we also get students from Kerala. In fact, this year, there is a student from Assam also coming all the way from Guwahati to Hyderabad for making use of this facility of integrated coaching. Okay, so that is about the question whether you should continue in CBSE or not. Okay, then this is the most important question parents have. All this is nice, but is my child good enough to get into the IITs? So therefore, what it takes to get into IITs? Let me answer that question in a couple of minutes. But before I get in with that question, let me answer this question. Why should you look at IITs so seriously? We all know it is so very competitive. When it is so competitive, why should you be looking at IITs so seriously? So what is so great about IITs? Now, if I ask this question to any IIT aspirant, the first thing that he will tell me is the packages, the salary packages, because we all know, we all read in newspapers, the fancy packages that the IIT students get, 1 crore plus, 50 lakhs plus. They get into top-notch IT companies like Microsoft, Facebook, Google, etc., etc. Some of the students will tell that, the faculty are good. Some of the students will tell us that, the facilities are good, infrastructure is good, prestige is there, brand is there, all of them is there. Now, if you ask me, as compared to all of these things, you also have to look at what differentiates an IITian from the others. For that, we need to look at a few examples. You all know Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google. If you see, Sundar Pichai started his journey from IIT Kharagpur. And today, he is head of a corporation whose annual revenue is more than the GDP of 90% of the countries of the world. And we all know how powerful Google is. All right. All our entire daily life is dictated by Google. All right. And he is the CEO of such a powerful corporation. And where did his career start? IIT Kharagpur. Arvind Kejriwal, totally different area in politics. He comes from a very ordinary, non-political family, but he created a political party on his own and became the chief minister of Delhi, not once, but twice. If you see his career, where did it start? IIT Kharagpur again. After IIT Kharagpur, he got into civil services, resigned from civil services, then we know his entire history. Then if you look at Raghuram Rajan, for example, another person in a totally different area in economics, who is the governor of Reserve Bank of India. Okay, he started his career as an electrical engineer, passing out of IIT Delhi, and then he did his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. I had the good fortune of studying along with Raghuram Rajan in IIM Ahmedabad. So he was my classmate. And from IIM Ahmedabad, he went on to do his PhD in finance, and then he is known world over as a renowned economist. In fact, last year he was slated to get the Nobel Prize in economics, but sometime in his lifetime he didn't get it, but sometime he is going to get his Nobel Prize. He was the governor of Reserve Bank of India. Nandan Nilekani, the person who gave us the Aadhaar card, who conceptualized the Aadhaar card, and he was one of the founder members of Infosys, is again an IITian. In fact, the entire founding team of Infosys comes from, not from the Tata or a Birla or the Ambani families. They all come from ordinary middle class backgrounds, but they set up a company which is one of the top 3 IT companies in the country. And what is common among all of them, along with Nandan, is that all of them are from the IITs. So I have given some examples. I can go on and give several examples. Now, who are all these people? Sundar Pichai is a leader in technology. Arvind Kejriwal is a leader in public service. Raghuram Rajan is a leader in economics. Nandan Nilekani is a leader in business and entrepreneurship. So what IITs produce is not just engineers, they produce leaders. That is the most important thing. If you ask me, they are leadership factories. So you should get into the IITs not for a BTech degree. BTech degree you can get anywhere. What you get in IITs is this extra edge. In whichever walk of life you chose to be in, you will become a leader there. And how does that happen? And that begins with the intensely competitive test called the JEE, where 12 lakh people appear for the test and only 12,000 get selected. So just imagine 4 years you work with this in an intensely competitive atmosphere. You work with this cream of the cream batch. Obviously, with that kind of exposure, later on in career and life, whatever challenges you face, you'll be ready for those challenges. And that is what gives the edge for the IITians. And that is why you should be looking at the IITs very, very seriously. And we are very fortunate. We've got such great institutions in our country. A lot of countries don't have such institutions. We are very fortunate, and they are accessible to all of them. We can go on and talk about, I know of several people who've come from very, very ordinary backgrounds and who have gone on to get into IIT. In fact, I used to go to IIT Madras very often when my son was studying there. And once when I went there, I went into his hostel. His hostel was hostel by name Mandakini. I walked into the office in that hostel, and one boy came who freshly joined that particular year. And looking at that boy, I knew that he was from a Telugu state. And I asked him where he was from. And he told me that he was from a place called Rampachodavaram. A lot of you may not know where Rampachodavaram is. You will not be able to locate it in a map. It's in a place in East Godavari district, not so well known. And another interesting thing about this boy is that he comes from a family of farmers. Forget about IITs. There was not even a single graduate in his family. I think the highest education qualification in that family was just about 10th class. And look at this boy from a place called Rampachoravaram. Okay. And I asked him, how did he come to IITs? How did he manage? How did he dream? How did he achieve this dream? And he said, sir, when I was in my 9th class, somebody came to my school and told me one thing, that if you want to be successful in life, then you have to get into the IITs. He said a lot of things, but I couldn't remember. The only thing that I remembered was that success is equal to getting into IITs. And from that time onwards, I worked and got into the IITs. And just look at this boy from Rampachoravaram, from this kind of a family. Once he passes out from IIT, gets a good job, what kind of a role model he is going to be for his community, for his place, for everybody around him. And that is so great about our country, that we have such great institutions in our midst, that a person from remote corners, from a very backward socio-economic community, also can dream of getting into IITs and realize their dreams. So if that boy from Rampachoravaram can get into IITs, I think everybody who's accessing my seminar on Zoom from the comfort of their homes, I'm sure you are all eligible, qualified, and can get into the IITs if you work strong enough. Okay, now let's look at this. What it takes to get into IITs. Intelligence, of course, but intelligence is overrated. You don't need to be an Einstein to get into the IITs. Above average intelligence is sufficient to get into IITs. But more important than IITs, more important than intelligence is determination and persistence. Okay, that you need to continue, you need to persist for these 2 years, despite the ups and downs that you're going to face in these 2 years of your journey. It's going to be tough. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you go through that tough phase, the fruits that you're going to enjoy are very much worth it. Then intellectual stamina. Again, as I told you, IIT has become very competitive. The nature of IIT has changed from subjective to objective. The nature of competition implies that that 3 or 4 hours of coaching that you used to get earlier is not sufficient. You need to have the stamina to put in consistently over the next 2 years, 10 to 12 hours every day. That is the kind of work that we expect. No holiday, no Sunday, whatever be it, you need to put in this kind of work. So that stamina you should have. And then confidence, because throughout this 2 years journey, there'll be a lot of challenges and your confidence will get shaken. So you should have confidence in yourself, confidence in the career path that you've chosen. You need to have that kind of positive attitude towards yourself, towards your studies, towards your career aspirations, towards the institution that you've chosen, towards your lecturers. This positive attitude is something which will propel you into the IITs. Then access to good training and learning resources. It has become very important because IIT, the nature of IIT, the nature of competition implies that you need to get coached by the best people. You need to, most important thing is you have to use these 2 years very, very prudently, because time management is the key. If you waste this time, if you waste the time doing unnecessary things, doing things which are not important, if you don't get the right kind of guidance, you will lose out on competition. So you should be at an institution where you get the right kind of guidance. Your time is not wasted. That is the most important, because time is one resource which we cannot recreate. We can get anything else, but time we cannot recreate. 1 day lost is lost, 1 week lost is lost, 1 month lost is lost. You cannot get back that time. So from the beginning, you should be focused, and there should be somebody who can mentor you, who can give you that guidance so that you don't waste your time. And then supportive family and friends. Both are important. Family and friends. Now, why do I say family? Because parents have a huge influence both ways. I come across all kinds of parents. I come across parents who are totally indifferent. Parents who say that, okay, now we put this chap in the institution, that the institution will have to take care. That is one set of parents. The other set of parents are parents who do micromanagement, who actually get into every aspect of the preparation and make life hell for the student. In fact, a couple of years back, uh, after our new batch got started, 1 month after the new batch got started, I was walking into the office and I saw one mother and child sitting in our front office and crying. I was shocked. Why are they crying so early in the morning? So I asked our people to check up why the mother and the child are crying. And it turned out that the results for our first weekly test were announced the previous day. And this boy was a hostler. So he did not do well. So the mother came running the next day. And both of them were sitting in the front office and crying profusely. And the mother thought that that was the end of the career IIT aspirations of the child. So then I had to call her into my office and I had to tell her that IIT exam is a tough exam, that even if you get as low as 40% some years, in fact, this year in 2020, people who got even 35% in the open category got seat in the IITs. So I said, don't expect marks like in your 10th class where you get 98%, 10 on 10, etc. Those kind of things don't happen. Even if you get a decent 50%, the boy got actually 50% in his first weekly test. I said, he's on the right track. He should be getting, he's got strong potential. So I had to pacify her that way. But there are parents, because of their over anxiety, because of their concern, they actually make life hell for the student by getting into a lot of details. That kind of over anxiety is not required. At the same time, extreme indifference is also not required. The student, the parent needs to provide confidence, moral support, which the college will not be able to provide. That moral support is something which the parent has to take care. The rest of it, the institution will take care. Similarly, good set of friends, because every facet of education, not just here, later on in engineering also, if you have a good peer group, good friend circle, they will lift you. They will rise up. They will lift you along with them. So a good friend circle is important. So these are the things which are important as far as the IIT journey is concerned.